went through basically the period in Hong Kong cultural policy before the 1950s. So a good place to locate are the photos in your notes. If you could find your notes from last time. And I'll take half an hour to finish that lecture, and then I'll hand over to Dr. Ng for today's lecture on ethnography. Now there are several announcements first. If you look at the syllabus, you will know that be sure you watch out for anything that happens in the syllabus. Okay? There are lots of things besides the lectures and the tutorial. So always remember to refer to your syllabus every week. Now today, after class, some of you will be having tutorials, and right after tutorials, there's going to be a screening again. And this is going to be a documentary, okay? So this week, as well as the next one, we will be seeing 3 documentaries altogether in preparation for week 6. Okay? So you need to know all these things before the lecture. If you cannot attend the screening today, or you cannot attend the screening after class next week, make sure you borrow those documentaries and watch them yourself. Now, after screening, I will leave the DVD at the Comparative Literature Department office, 215A main building, 215A. So if you cannot come to the screening, which is actually a better way of watching it, because the filmmaker herself is going to talk to you about the documentaries. But if you come to the screening, you'll be able to discuss things with the filmmaker. Okay? Now, and if you can't, make sure you borrow the DVD from 215A main building from the Commonwealth Department office. It's on 1-day loan, and watch them before you come to lectures in week 6. Although these documentaries are not exactly about the Blue House, which is what the case we're going to focus on in week 6. It is about a lot of other culturally related urban renewal cases in Wan Chai and other old districts in Hong Kong. So you will be able to see an entire background of what's going on in Hong Kong. And the case is, unlike traditionally, the government packaging urban renewal just as a development issue, right? Just as urban redevelopment, taking down old houses, building new ones. In the post-97 situation, you see that all these urban redevelopment projects are packaged or marketed as a cultural project. Okay? So it is a cultural understanding, cultural framing of urban redevelopment. And on the other side, those residents and shopkeepers who are displaced during these urban renewal projects also understand their own resistance movements as a cultural movement, or understanding their own fight for their rights, right? Not just as a housing rights issue, but at the same time, almost more importantly, as a cultural preservation issue. This is a very, very interesting development in post-1997 Hong Kong. And all these documentaries will give you the background to why these people in old Hong Kong districts affected by urban renewal understand what they're doing as a movement to preserve cultural heritage. And how things become understood gradually in those ways, both by the government and by the local grassroots movements. So it's no longer the traditional way you can understand a social movement. It's a cultural social movement. And this cultural trend has a lot to do with the gradual development of an awareness about cultural policy as part of a larger picture. Cultural policy is not just about artists and filmmakers and museums, but it's also about the wider idea of culture. Right? It has to do with cultural heritage, cultural preservation, and culture as the living everyday life of Hong Kong people. This wider understanding of the concept of culture has been incorporated into not only government policy level thinking, but also in the general public. So these documentaries you're going to see today at 5 and next week at the same time during the screening will be about these developments. And they're all very interesting documentaries of these case studies. Okay? Now, and the second announcement is in preparation for your field trips, right, you're going to go into the communities to do cultural tour, right, to absorb ideas from the community, but also to do interviews and other practical methodology practices. Right? So when you go into the community, you need to make yourself professionally somebody. Right? You cannot just grab a resident and ask them questions. They would be very suspicious. So we are going to provide you with name tags like these soon. Okay, maybe next week I'm going to bring 60 of these to class. Right? But before that, please make an ID card for yourself, right? Like that. A little booklet, okay? 3" times 4". So you put a photo of yourself there, your name. If you have a name in Chinese, please have both your Chinese and English names. Right? Photo, Chinese and English names, and at the back, something to describe yourself in an interesting way for your interviewee in the future. So if you can write in Chinese, do that in Chinese. If you cannot, write that in English. Okay? Now, if you want to say more about yourself, you can actually make it foldable. So you have 4 pages to talk about yourself instead of 2, right? You can make it a simple one, just one side, photo, name, and the back, something about yourself. Or if you want to be more interesting, you want to have your blog URL, your website URL, everything available to other people, you can use the 4-page version and you fold it in 2. And we will give you these name tags, right? So you will have to wear this when you go out to all the cultural tours, field trips for the rest of the course. Okay? So make yourself an interview ID card. Okay? Now I'll write an email to remind you about these. All right? Get it prepared by next week so that when you go out in week 6, you will have all of these things ready. Okay? Because also one of the reasons is the people in the community are collaborating with us in teaching this class. So they actually have our syllabus, they know what we are doing, and the cultural tours and everything are designed in response to what you are learning. Okay? So they will also be part of the people who will evaluate you later on. You might see them more than once. You go to cultural tour in week 6. But if you decide that Blue House is so interesting, you want to do a project on Blue House, you might go back to talk to them again. Right? So in the process, you will be choosing the topics and choosing your community participation partner. Right? And that community participation partner will be somebody from these NGOs that you will be meeting.